G'day, it's J Thomas 1310. Going to be touching on a little bit of an updated Yamaha R3 review. So I have already done a review on the motorbike and on a couple of little updates as it's progressed through. But as per subscribers' requests, I've been asked to actually see how the bike can actually handle Australian roads. So the Yamaha R3 has become quite a popular little bike in Australia. For those other Aussies out there and even R3 riders, you'd know that. And if you haven't gotten on to other places like R3 forums or the little Facebook pages and whatnot, there's a fair few R3 owners groups. So you can meet up with other R3 owners, and there's heaps of hints and tips for everyone that's got R3s and want to discuss what's going on with them. So it's a really good source of information if you've got an R3. But yes, it is very popular, the bike. Cause it's the first of Yamaha's class in that size for a sports bike, so it's quite good. That's what really sort of picked me for it. So I wanted something small and cheap still, just for a daily commute, plus a little fun bike, and then perhaps even track it one day. So in that sense, with the price range, the quality, costs of it on roads, it's very cheap because it's still in that small bike category. And you start getting up past your 600 sizes, and the cost for running the bike on the road is absolutely phenomenal, especially if you're still wanting to look at comprehensive insurance, which I do for this. But it does do quite well. Check out the R3 Cup, it's a big thing. It's happening in Australia as well. A lot of people who race on the R3s, which is really good. And it's getting hot in here. It is actually autumn, but it is getting quite hot the last couple of days, which is very strange. So it's a good day to get out for a ride anyway. But the bike hasn't really ever overheated. It's quite tropical in the northern rivers of New South Wales. So it's on the border of the northern border of New South Wales and Queensland. So we're basically only 20 minutes from Byron Bay here. So for those of you that know that area, that's where it is. Another hour up and a bit, we're at the Gold Coast. So it's quite humid. I've only had to top up the coolant once on the bike, so it's not too bad. That was after sitting and idling much like this. So it does get up to about 3 bars at operational temperature, as you can see there. So it doesn't get too hot, but yes, it has used a bit more coolant than I would actually expected it to. But I didn't really know what to expect with usage of this bike, so being one of the first of its kind and haven't had a bike at that size. But it is quite good on fuel for getting around. So most of the roads around here, you can only really get up to 80. Some areas are at 100. So it's getting about 260 k's to a tank on average. That's usually with cruising around the 80 to 100k mark, back and forth, and then the odd little bit of stuff through town. But then you start thrashing it and it goes a little bit quicker. But the tyres on it cops a lot of flack from people, and I don't know why. From talking to people at dealerships and whatnot, it's actually quite a common tyre to be sold. So it's good grip, it's got good wear, and then it's never put me in a situation where I didn't think the tyres were going to not get through the corner. So it's always considered, from hearing first reviews before the bike even landed in Australia, everyone whinging about the tyre. I thought maybe I'll be upgrading the tyre at some stage, but I'm gonna let this go for a fair bit actually before considering a new tyre, just because I know the bike, I love the feel of it. It's got good grip. I haven't really had any slide outs except for on little tar snakes in the wet, and then freshly marked white paint on through a corner. So there's a section around here where it's very windy road. We got caught in a thunderstorm at the same time. You couldn't even actually see the road. It was just this big shiny gloss of wet. So crossing the white lines, it would slide a little bit. But other surfaces like back there going through just that asphalt where they're going to be resealing the road, you didn't feel it wanting to bump around. I've done small sections of gravel road where I've been out for a couple of those big group rides. We've gone for probably 100 metres worth. There was another section I went through for probably half a k. So I did take it very slow, of course, but it didn't seem to cause a problem. It was quite gravelly. One section it was more pebble size. So, you know, it's done quite well. It handles well with suspension. There's only been once or twice where I've hit a pretty fierce pothole, and you know, the bike just went straight through it. But you know, my balls did take a good bloody hit. So, you know, I usually do try and cushion for any bumps. You know, just raise up in the seat a little bit. You know, I see a lot of road bike riders out there that don't do that. That's just something I've learnt from my, you know, riding dirt bikes as a young fella. So, but in saying that, the seat is quite comfortable. So for going through all the Aussie roads, you know, it's quite bad with the surfaces in a lot of areas, especially New South Wales. They're shocking for maintaining roads. It's always bits of washout on the sides, gravel spewed everywhere, lots of potholes. The buggers just like to come out and throw a bit of white paint around the bloody hole so you know it's there, and then maybe in 6 months they'll come and some prick will throw some gravel in the thing, and then it'll just make ridges. So you do find a lot of those where it's, you know, the bike will want to skip out. But there's only, you know, as I said, probably once or twice, you know, with hitting some bad potholes. And then I didn't, you know, have any fear that the bike wasn't going to skip out, so I just took the blow. So in saying that, the suspension's quite good. I have had to take it back and actually get an alignment on the rear. It was slightly out. I was, even in previous motovlogs I did mention that actually I was noticing the bike was wandering, you know, even just going straight, you know. I was starting to question my riding ability for a bit. I think I might have been a bit in a daze, and you know, just drifting off side to side. But yes, it was actually slightly out, so I put that to actually hitting those couple of big ones. It was within a probably 2-week period that I hit that, and that's when I did notice that the bike started to wander a little bit. But that was a quick easy fix, $40 at the dealership, and she's all aligned, and it seemed to have fixed the problem. It hasn't happened since. So I do just run the tyre pressures to the recommended. If the tyre's hot, I usually put an extra PSI in. So it's 29 at the front, 36 at the rear. That's with the Street Pilot Michelins. So it's, you know, runs pretty good. So today, since I went out for a good twisty ride before actually having to put in some extra air just to go on this big trip we're doing today for my friend, I've just put in an extra PSI just to make up for the air expansion being hot tyres, so to give her a bloody good thrash. So, and then with those tyres, you know, there's not much of a chicken strip on my tyres, so it's, you know, I've taken them to the edge and they seem to love it, so I'm very happy with it. Where are we going? Oh, I would have turned off. So friend is leading us to coffee shop to go and have lunch. So, and I've never seen the joint before, so she's leading. I normally lead, so it's actually good just to follow for once instead of trying to think and motovlog and try and navigate at the same time. So it can be quite distracting. But most of the roads that we've just been through is majority of what's around here. We do have a few real good sections, like where I go and do my twisties. And other areas, it's basically like this. If you check out some of my country roads videos, you know, I find some pretty rough stuff. You know, it's a bit worn here in these spots. It's the old highway here, so a little bit neglected with only parts that have been kept alive where it joins back up to the new highway. But you know, the R3 just absolutely does quite well for the roads. You know, I wouldn't recommend probably, well, generally you wouldn't probably ride most sports bike if you live quite rural. That's probably not a good recommendation. You know, I wouldn't want to be going out and doing significant amounts of gravel and, you know, going up hills, you know, to lookouts and things. You know, I've not gone out on a few rides with groups because they've, you know, they're on adventure bikes, so they do the both. And hit the tarmac and then out in the gravel, and, you know, get lost out on farms. So, you know, on farms or country areas, you know, they just spend the whole day finding trails. So it's not something that you can take the R3 on. So, you know, maybe if you change the tyres, you'd be all right. But then, you know, what's the point of having the sports bike if you're going to be doing that? You might as well buy a second bike and get a trail bike or the likes. But you know, the suspension has been great. It sits nice and flat. You know, it handles all the tiny bumps, handles the big bumps. And you can, what's this guy full doing? I'm actually going to let us through. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Fuck me. Tried to do something nice, but thanks, bud. Worked out alright in there. See, sometimes being nice and letting people through can confuse traffic, so not always helpful, but kudos to them anyway for the gesture and we've got through. So, you know, there are other things, you know, with Australian roads, you know, there's lots of slow traffic as well, so, you know, I do go out and thrash this thing a fair bit through the twisties. You know, if you look through the main road where I do a lot of my twisty videos, it's, you know, a lot of blind corners. It is quite dangerous in the sense, you know, you fly around some of them corners, you know, and then if someone's pulling out of a driveway or just happens to be around the corner going slow, you're going to be in a lot of strife. You're not going to be able to pull up in time. So it's probably not a good idea to be using them as a race bike anyway. But, you know, when I am thrashing it, she holds all the places I've been. You know, even with some of the rougher roads. You know, we're probably going to be heading out the Wollongbar way, which is heading up north to the Gold Coast. So we're basically on Queensland border there. And it's a good twisty road, a lot of rough spots, washouts. You know, they've just had flood through there as well, and I was actually up that way in the car through work just the other day, and you know, the roads are pretty crap. It's been a while since I've been there, and you know, they're pretty rough. But we're gonna go up there and check it out, see how it is. So, you know, I don't have any qualms to just take it a bit easier. But you know, the R3 just handles any spot in Australia for general roads, and especially if you're a city person, it's going to be a great bike. Now you go through traffic. You know, I don't have significant traffic as what Sydney or Brisbane or you know, other major cities, or even, you know, just smaller cities. You know, with the city, I mean, it's very small. I don't even know what the population is, but it's nothing compared to the other ones. It's, you know, you get in the two lanes, you know, you get a little bit of congestion and I'll weave through and whatnot, but it's not to the point that, you know, you have places that you can really lane filter and whatnot. So I've done it a couple of times, but yeah, it's not real necessary. You know, you'll have only 4 cars deep at the lights, so it's not even worth the hassle of trying to fit down there and then take off. You know, it's only going to save a matter of 5-10 seconds, so it's not worth, especially when you're only going to be turning off, you know, probably a couple hundred meters up the road. So you just sit tight and take the next corner off anyway. So it's not something I do regular, but you know, I have been out and about and have done it, so she fits quite tidy. You know, you see a lot of people having to pull in mirrors and things like that. You know, where the handlebars are actually sitting in comparison to the actual mirror, it's, you know, it's the same width, so it's only the tiniest bit of extra height that you've got to be concerned about. So it's just with some taller mirrors on cars that you'd probably tuck it in, but then, you know, you are quite close to your elbows and whatnot anyway. So it's, you know, a nice small bike, very light, very nimble, very nippy. So it's, you know, very capable of handling, you know, traffic and then getting out of town. And you know, with all that too, it's got enough power. It's that light. It's great for fuel, and then you got enough power to get yourself out of trouble and also have a bit of fun as well. So it's a very good idea for it. So, yeah, all in all, you know, I recommend the R3. You know, no matter for what conditions, unless of course, like I mentioned, out on the gravel and country roads, not a good idea. So this is where we decided to go and have some lunch. So it's public holiday today, so it's not many places that we can actually go and find that'll actually be open because of Anzac Day. So yeah, see how tight little manoeuvres like this, which is quite good. Yeah, so if you want a Yamaha R3, living in Australia, and you worry about what it should be like, you get the thumbs up for me, recommended highly. So guys, if you're right out there, stay safe, keep the rubber side down.